Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bliss Bootcamp, Part 1. I am Tracy DeMario, and I'm the Superstar Director for the Scented Bliss family. And we are going to be talking about Chord One. For those of you guys, whether you're new or you've been around a while, you may or may not have ever had the opportunity to hear one of our owners, Orville Thompson. Orville and Heidi are both the owners of Scentsy and are currently serving. They have 2 more years to serve on their mission in England. So until then, if you guys would love to hear some Orville wisdom, which I frequently do, I would highly recommend going to the Scentsy official YouTube channel and checking out Orville Thompson's 2012 keynote presentation. There you will find a lot more detail about what I am going to be visiting with you guys about today. So I'm going to be focusing on Chord One. There is 4 chords that will help you in mastering your Scentsy business that we know to be true, that if you just stick to those 4 chords and repeat them, you are going to find success in this business. Now, you may or may not, again, depending on when you joined. I know we've had a huge influx of new consultants since COVID had happened. And as a result of that, when COVID took place, we all had to change our ways on how we had to do business. And Chord One was probably most affected. And that revolves around in getting PRV, personal retail volume. Okay. So since COVID, we did make a lot of changes to our business, but thankfully the world and the universe is going back to the things the way they once were. And for that reason, we want to make sure that all of our consultants in our group are now working the business pre-COVID ways because we know them to be true. The reality is this: Scentsy is a party plan. We are a party plan. There's no requirement for you to ever do a party. But we do know those consultants that are consistently booking and hosting home parties being the number one, in my opinion, best practice. Second to our bag, basket, or pouch parties, whatever you might like to call them, would be your second best way to build this business. Again, yes, there's lots of other things you can be doing, but when we talk about best practices, home parties, bag, basket, pouch parties would definitely be, in my opinion, to this day, still the best and strongest way to build a successful business. So I am going to start today by talking about all things relating to chord number 1. First of which is getting bookings. So this is a common thing, especially for those who have not been in direct sales before. They're like, I don't know where to start. It all sounds great. It sounds wonderful, but how do I even get a party to begin with? And while there are a variety of different ways, I believe the absolute best way to ensure that you're going to get some bookings secured is a booking blitz. For those of you that this is a new term, I will tell you a booking blitz is basically a time that you set aside, a dedicated time that you are determined to do nothing more than to secure some bookings. So you might say, I'm going to next Tuesday at 4 p.m. for 45 minutes, I am going to focus on getting bookings. Again, if you need additional information and training on this subject, you will find an album and a guide in our group page on Facebook, as well as on your workstation. If you go to the training center and go to the search bar and simply search the word booking or blitz, you will find additional information to assist you with more detailed training, specific verbiage and such to assist you with the booking blitz. One of the keys to a successful booking blitz is having a list of potential people to contact. Oftentimes, we refer to that list as your 100 list. This may or may not be a new term to you, but I can tell you, regardless of how long you've been in, the 100 list is something that should be ongoing on now and forever in your business. If you've never created one of these lists, you can go to your consultant guide. There is a sheet that is actually going to help you get a head start on that. So there's a document there. If you, for some reason, don't have your consultant guide, you can go to your workstation under training and simply search the words consultant and guide, and you can pull it up. And then again, you could print out that document. And there's lots of variations on this as well. There's no right, no wrong way. The point is we want to have a list of people that we can make contact with. Now, This list is going to be changing. It's going to be evolving over time. The goal, of course, is for you to have people on that list that are going to be regular purchasers. There's going to be people on that list that, of course, we want to host with us. And ultimately and ideally, there's going to be people on that list that are going to join our teams. So that is our 100 list and how we compose that list. And again, there's lots of trainings if you need additional information on how to do that. So you're going to be making contact with past customers, past hosts, future hosts. Those are the types of things. One of the things I will strongly encourage, if you haven't done this already, and I know it worked for me, and that was I'm actually thinking about and making a list of people that I have done business with over the years. So I was new to business. I had never had a business before. And so I had to find every single one of my customers the old school way. One of those ways was to make a list. Okay, who do I do business with on a regular basis? My hairdresser, my realtor, the groomer, the veterinarian, the insurance guy. I just brainstormed anybody I give my money to, because if I've been supporting their business over the years, I want to give them the opportunity to support my business as well. So those were some of the first people that I reached out to make contact to. And I did that, and I loaned them warmers. Sometimes I loaned them a diffuser if that was a conversation that's came up since we got our new diffusers and the opportunity to share them. And again, that's totally up to you and how you want to do that. But those are just some ideas on how you can be getting the word out. And of course, we want to get bookings at our parties, which we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute as well. So moving right along, now that we've talked about getting bookings, so now we've secured our booking. Now here is the second important thing to after you've secured your booking is we need to coach those hosts. Our goal is to keep our hosts in show mode. The moment they say yes, that they want to host a party, they're excited. They're thinking about all these things they'd like to get for free or for half price. And so we want to make sure we keep them excited and in that show mode. And we do that by coaching our hosts. So again, there is a lot more detailed training on host coaching. If you feel like this is an area that you're struggling with or that you need more assistance with, again, we have it in the group as well as in the training center of your workstation. But I am going to cover the basics right now. Obviously, first of all, we want to secure that date. Once we secure the date, at that point is when show is on, and we want to start building that relationship and communication with our host. You want to encourage that host to invite 3 times as many people as they think will come. Ideally, we would love to have 10 people at a party. So 10 is usually my goal, to have 10 physical humans at my party. More is fine and less is okay, but we really want 10. So I tell my host, look, our goal is to have 10 physical human beings at the party, but we need to over-invite in order to get those 10 because people are busy. Everybody has life things, maybe they can't get a sitter, whatever is going on in their life. So at least 10 live bodies is what we're going for. So encourage them to over-invite. Of course, you want to make sure that you're thanking her, you're sharing your excitement, that you're looking forward to having fun with her. That's all, of course, part of the deal. Now, depending on how and when you book that party, for example, if you're doing your booking blitz and you secure the party, then I would ideally want to get a host packet in the mail to them. It's even better if you guys create some systems to where you have your host packets done ahead of time and that they're all ready to go so that when you get these bookings, bam, you're ready to send them out. Or again, hand deliver them. Or if you're in person, of course, obviously you can hand them over. There's no right or wrong way to do a host packet. Let me just kind of share with you what I do for mine. I take just a big, legal size envelope, 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to place 2 catalogs in there. I am also going to have approximately 10 order forms. I usually put a handful of felt samples, a handful of product sheets in there as well. any current promotions, like our Warmer of the Month flyer. If it was Bring Back My Bar, I would print those off, or Bring Back My Buddies. Right now, of course, it's holiday and harvest brochures are available. So any current promotions, I want to start sprinkling the opportunity as well. So I'm going to put a join brochure or a join postcard if you've done something like that as well. And I like to include a sample order form already filled out, because my goal is I'm going to tell my host prior to your party, if you can bring 5 outside orders to your party, you're going to get an additional free gift as a thank you from me. So I like to do that. Now, with those catalogs, I'm going to take one of those catalogs and I'm going to use a bunch of my little stickies, and I am going to highlight that catalog for her. For example, I want to point out the combine and save pages, and I want to spend a couple minutes explaining how those work, so that way when she's sharing around the office or to people who cannot attend and she's collecting outside orders, she has the opportunity to utilize those. I also want to be sure that I am sharing with her the fragrance grid. Those are 2 really, really important pieces, because if she's getting outside orders, it's going to help her be more successful if, number 1, she can utilize the bundles. And as well as she knows, for example, if they pick 6 car bars, but she doesn't ever use the fragrance grid, then we've got to go back and clean that up and fix it later. So I spend just a couple of minutes going over that as well. And that's pretty much what I put in my host packets. So it's very simple. It's very easy. Again, you can drop it in the mail or give it to her in person. Now, you want to make sure that you're staying in touch. There's no time frame that's like set in stone as when you're setting up your parties. I will tell you, ideally, I like to book mine anywhere from 30 to 45 days out. I try to stay within that window. I don't like to go farther than 45 days because it's much harder for me to keep that excitement going. So I'm always trying to get them to book as soon as possible. And something you might want to consider too is a good question if they're like, I don't know when I want to have my party, and they have a lot of flexibility, is I would ask them, so when does like a lot of your people get paid? When is payday for you? When is payday for your coworkers that might be coming? You know, it's easy and it's nice if you can book it around that time frame. So keep that in mind as well when you're planning, if they have the flexibility. At the end of the day, if there's only one date in the month they can book a party, then by golly, we're going to book that party on that date. Another thing that I like to say too is keep in mind, spontaneous parties can be fantastic. So if you're having a conversation with a girlfriend, if you meet up for lunch and you're talking to your girlfriend and you're showing her all the new testers and she seems excited, say, girl, why don't you have some girlfriends over this weekend? I can totally bring my stuff and let's just have a get together. Let's have a scent event. We can have a good time. We can visit. And better yet, all these scents that you like, you can get yours for free and for half price. So no, don't ever say no to a spontaneous party. You might be surprised how well those actually will do. Okay. Another little tip that I do when I'm having home parties is I give my hosts a couple of options. Number 1, I say, here's a couple of things we can do, again, to give you an opportunity to have a touch point with your guests, but also so that they can have a little more fun at the party. One is I will ask you, what's your favorite color? And based on what color you tell me, I'm going to send you a script to a text message that you're going to text out every single person that you want to come to your party. And you're going to say, hey guys, don't forget my scent event is tomorrow night at 7:00. I'm looking forward to see you. Make sure that you wear something blue or whatever color she picks. That's her favorite color. So that way you can be in an extra drawing that we're doing at the party. So again, now she can get some feedback. Maybe somebody's like, oh gosh, I'm so sick. There's no way I can come. My sitter canceled. I haven't found a sitter, whatever kind of excuses she might hear. Now you're prepared for her to say, oh, no worries. I hate to hear that. That's such a bummer. Here's an online link to my party. If you want to go on here, you can either shop directly here or just send me your order of things that you were wanting and I'll add it to the party for you. I hope you get to feeling better. And I truly appreciate your support. So she's got something to come back if she does have people that cancel. And more importantly, she's going to get a better feel and account for how many are coming. Now, another option similar to that is they can choose that option or they can choose option 2, which is, you know what, Tracy, my Scentsy lady, she does an on-time drawing. So just a little reminder, our scent event is tomorrow night at 7:00. So make sure that you're on time so that you can get in the on-time drawing for the extra prize. So very simple. Again, same. The whole point is that she is touching base with these people that want to have parties, or that are hopefully coming to their party, I should say. And then if they say no, or they can't come, or they are coming, she has a much better idea. So that's why we want to do that. Also, make sure that you're touching base with your host and that you're communicating. Let her know that you're just going to need a small space. You're, not real picky as to what and where it is, but you're going to, that way you don't get there and she's rearranging the furniture. She's having to clean off the dining room table. Like, have the conversation ahead of time so that she's thinking and planning ahead. The other thing I like to do around that is, it's up to you. I tell my host I'm going to be there approximately 30 minutes prior. Now, if you feel like you need more time, totally fine. I can usually get it done within 30 minutes. So that's why I usually tell my host I'm going to be there at approximately 30 minutes. I also go over what I would like the agenda or the time frame to look like. So I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to show up approximately 30 minutes before. I'll get everything all set up. I'll help you greet the guests. It's going to be great. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and have everybody just get started. We're going to get that party going right on time, as we said we would. I'm going to do my thing, get in and out. And then if you want to serve some refreshments, some drinks, whatever, you guys want to stay and visit, that way I'm out of your hair and you guys can hang out and have a good time. So again, I set the expectations out of the gate. Remember, time is money. So if you are not cautious about having this conversation, I can tell you, you could end up being at parties for a very long time. If people are drinking, if they're into the food, if the host is still bringing more food out of the oven, it's a constant distraction. People are getting up and you're like, oh my gosh, so just a little tip from me is, make sure that you communicate how you want things to go and what it's going to look like. Make sure that you communicate the end date for the party. So it's for me personally, I don't usually wrap things up that night. Again, I want to get in and out of there. And so I don't want to distract her from her guests, but I also don't want her sidetracked and distracted and not able to focus. So I usually will say, okay, we're going to have your party on Sunday night, but let's plan to visit Monday night so we can wrap things up. And if she's like, oh, I'm working. Okay, no problem. Then how about Tuesday afternoon? We come to an agreement when we're wrapping the party up. So she knows when the end date is, and then I can communicate that as well with the guests. Because remember, their orders are all going to just be in pending status until we can submit those orders and the host is ready to close the party. So just again, communication is really important. Okay, now it is party time. It is party day. So a couple of tips on this. Number one, I am going to strongly encourage you to keep it simple. My rule is, I have a big Scentsy, it's like a Scentsy rolling duffel bag. A suitcase is what I used for the longest time before we had a Scentsy one, or I had a Scentsy one. Suitcases work too, and a tote bag. If it does not fit in that suitcase and it doesn't fit in that duffel bag, it does not come in. One trip. Because remember, we want to make it as easy as possible, look as easy and simple as possible for anyone there, including your host and any of your guests, to say, oh, wow, she just had to make one trip. Well, she doesn't have to have a lot of stuff. This is simple. This is easy. I could totally do this. So it's really, simplicity is the key to having successful home parties and having others interested in either having you in their home and or joining the business opportunity. Another little tip is, I would recommend, because remember, I don't like to bring a table unless they just said, oh gosh, can you bring a table? Then I would. But that's why I ask them, make sure I have a space to set up. So that way they're thinking ahead. But I have found it to be really easy and convenient if I bring one of those power strips, because oftentimes they're not thinking about that. And I usually do have 3, 4, maybe even 5 items that I would like to plug in. And I don't have to have her wandering around, try to figure out, where a power strip might be. So you might want to add that to your little packing list as well. But basically, if you just have your starter kit, then that's great. You've got catalogs and you can do a catalog walkthrough just fine with just the items that you got in your starter kit. Over time, I would encourage you to get a premium diffuser. I would encourage you to get an air purifier. When people see the size of them, how pretty they are, what an awesome job they do, it's much easier to demo them if they can see them, touch them, feel them, experience them. And it helps them also justify the cost. And they're great booking tools, because you may have people say, oh, I would just love to have this premium diffuser. It's so beautiful, but I can't afford that. Good news. What if you could get it for half price or even free? And same is true with the air purifier. Okay. So those are just great booking conversations to have. and why I like to have them at my parties. So as you can over time, build your kit. Build your kit using, getting half price words yourself and such. Now, one of the things I like to bring up too, when we talk about having the party, is don't forget every single party order of 200 or more comes with a perpetual booking reward attached. Now, during COVID, we use that in a lot of different ways, and there's no rule on how you have to use it. But basically, it's an additional half price item that can be used at the time you're closing out the party. And it was booked and it was actually created to be a booking tool. So let me just give you an example. So I'm having a party, I'm hosting my party. My party gets to 200 PRV. And now I'm like, want to keep this going. I want to keep the momentum going. I want to get more half price items. And my sister's like, you know what? I'll have a party for you. Oh my gosh, that's so great. That's awesome. When you go to close out the sister's party and her party is 200 PRV or more, she's going to have a perpetual booking reward just sitting there in limbo, waiting to be taken. That's when the original host, the other sister who was the original host, can then select a half price item and redeem that half price item. Okay. If you need to see this in writing or even a visual on how to enter or where to locate the perpetual booking reward, if you go to your workstation and you type in the word order under training in the search field, it will pull up how to enter host rewards, and the perpetual booking reward is included there. There's a short little video as well as a printout, a PDF that you can print out. Okay. So hopefully that will be very helpful to you. All right. So another thing I like to do prior, when I do my home parties, and actually I did mean to bring that home. I keep a lot of my stuff at my office, my Scentsy office, so I don't have things in my home. But I use what's called snapware or snappable snapware. They're just little, they're probably more like, I would say 9 by 6, 6 by 9 clear containers that snap all together and have a handle that you can carry. And then and that's how I sort my testers. So I will have like the classics category, the holiday category. I like to sort my testers, and then I will place them like under the table hidden until I'm ready to release them. So find something you can use, little bit, whatever you want to use. I've seen all kinds of neat, fun, and cute little things, but I do think that's helpful. It helps with the ordering process. It helps the guests if they know they like clean scents, if they know they don't like anything with cinnamon. Like, it just kind of helps you help them when they are getting ready to do that. Now, one of the other things I like to do is what's called, basically I use them just like, I call them a customer board, but I've taken clipboards and file folders. So file folders, I cut them down the middle and I put the file folder on a clipboard. And on that clipboard, I'm going to have a catalog. I'm going to have an order form. I'm going to have some people like to use the Like It, Love It or the wish list documents that many times people make. But I just simply use, it's a piece of paper that has Scentsy's name on it. It was like a notepad that I purchased. I purchased tons of them, actually. It says Scentsy, and it's basically a plain piece of paper where they can write down the scents that they like. Of course, I make sure that I include a pen, any promotional flyers or any promotions that are happening, and I always put a join brochure on that as well. So when the doorbell rings, if my host isn't available or I just try to, I want to make sure I'm greeting everyone. I'm visiting, I'm interacting from the moment that they arrive. So, hey, Susie, oh my gosh, how are you? Welcome. I'm Tracy, the Scentsy lady. How do you know Sharon? Oh, that's awesome. Well, come on in, get comfortable. This is for you. It's going to have everything we're going to be looking at here in a bit. So if you just want to hang on to this, and we'll get to it a little later. So I hand it out, and that's when then I start going to work. At this point, I start listening, and I want to pay attention to the conversations that are happening around me. This is really, really important, guys, because this is key to bookings and possible new team members and helping them with their orders. So, for example, I want to hear things like maybe they're talking, they're saying, oh my gosh, did you see how much the dues are going up this year? Or, oh, wow, I cannot believe our schedule. We just got our dance schedule and we are traveling all over the country. This is going to be crazy. Or, oh my goodness, did you hear that my daughter got laid off? Or Susie's having another baby? Or I'm just listening to all the things, right? I just started a new office and we have 17 employees at this office that now, I got to deal with or whatever. So listen, 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 because we're going to utilize that information later. Okay. So the party schedule can vary. It can be totally how you want and what you want. I will tell you up front, I ask my host, do you want to play a game? I'm not a gamer. I prefer not to do the games just because, well, I'm just not into it. But if my host wants a game, I usually will do like the left-right game. There's lots of different games in your workstation. Guess what? If you go to your workstation under training and type in party games, there's actually a ton of party games that you guys can check out, okay? So ask them if they want to do a game. And if they do, of course, I'm going to do a game. There's also a bunch of booking games that I have seen consultants do. And if that's going to help you, then that's great. I'm going to go over here in a minute. I don't do the booking games anymore. There was a time when I did, when I wasn't as comfortable as I am now with offering or asking for bookings. So it's really comfort zone. It's up to you on if you feel like that would be helpful for you and your host right now. Because the goal is that you want to leave. I like to set it up with at least 3 bookings from every party that I do. And ideally, I want at least one new team member, hopefully the host. But if it's not the host, it's going to be one of the guests. Okay, so going from there, let's talk about this. So the party schedule. First, I'm going to do a quick introduction of myself. It is going to be brief. They do not care about my whole life story as much as I want to tell them all the things about Scentsy and me and my journey. They really don't care. So they're going to get like a 30 or 45-second really quick blurb commercial on who I am and why I'm a Scentsy lady. Okay. Next up, I am going to then go into our product training. So I'm going to spend approximately 30 seconds, a 30-second commercial going through all of the things that we offer. Now, in addition to that, while I'm sprinkling in, I'm doing all my commercials, I like to do a couple of demos as well. So for example, I typically will bring either a hand lotion or a body cream that I can talk about, do my quick commercial, and then I can pass it around so the guests can experience it just to kind of break it up. It kind of gets them oohing and on, getting them moving around a little bit more. It's up to you. Scentsy Fresh is another one that I like to use. Just do a demo on, and then I can pass it around. I know people that have done the dryer discs, like it's really totally your call, your decision. But I want them to get to feel and touch a couple of things throughout my presentation so that they're not just sitting there bored or nodding off. And typically, whenever there's the passing of something, it just keeps them more engaged. So that is why. So I'm going to do that. And then after I've done that, the next thing we're going to do is I am going to release the testers. So here's why I say that, because once you share those testers, you're going to lose them. They're gone. Okay. They're going to go in smelling heaven. And so they're not going to be around. So before you do that, you want to talk about any promotions that are happening. Make sure that you remind them about all of our kid line and how great they are for gifts. If they have any baby showers, anybody that's having babies or any kids' gifts that they need to purchase for, of course, during the holidays, let them know that you'd be happy to help them with their holiday gift giving time and so forth. So keep that in mind too. I like to do my door prizes at this point. Keep it really simple, guys. Again, simple. What do you have on hand? I often will do a room spray with a matching scent circle, just in a little clear bag with some curly ribbon. That's typically what mine are. We just had a flash sale, for example. So I did purchase a bunch of the hand soaps and the counter cleans and items that were like $2 or $3. So I did purchase several of those for future gifts. So just stuff that you have. Okay. So don't go out of your way or don't feel like you have to give away a ton of stuff. Just stuff that you have is what I typically will do. Now, here is the most important part. Remember, time is money, like I said, right? So once you've released the scents, now is when I want to start having conversations and introducing and kind of interacting and building those relationships with the guests. So for example, I might start with the first person that I see and I'll be like, okay, so Susan, what are you thinking? What are your favorite scents? What type of scents do you like? So I can gear them towards the things that they're looking for. Maybe they might say something like, well, I've never actually had a warmer before. Oh my goodness. Okay, great. Well, what room are you thinking you would want to use it in? Okay, because that's going to determine the size of the warmer, whether they're getting a mini warmer or a larger warmer. And I'm going to want to make sure that I explain all of those things. Do you think you would like a warmer that has a lot of light, a little light, or no light? So for example, if you're going to use it in your bedroom and you don't like light at night, let me show you our element warmers. Or if you know you want to use it in your entryway in your kitchen, so you want a lot of light, then let me show you which ones are really going to glow and look fantastic and provide a lot of light. Okay. So I want to have these conversations and help them. I want to also make sure that I'm focusing on that bundle and save page. Remember, we want to focus on the bundle and save and the fragrance grid. So I want to show them, let me hit, you like to save money? Excellent. I like to save money too. So let me show you these bundle and save pages so that you can save some money. If you're looking at warmers, here's some options. If you need one warmer, this is your best package right here. And then you can pick out some bars. If you're thinking that you need multiple warmers, because we all know if you have more rooms in your house, you need more warmers, then these are your best options. So again, I want to show them how they can save money, but I'm also there to help my host increase her host base so that she can get more items off of her wish list. Okay. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to literally walk around and I'm going to help everyone. And I'm going to let them know when you're ready, come see me. I'm right over here. And then that way I can start taking care of people. Now, whenever I do the checkout process, this is where I am going to be focusing on my conversations and my listening that I was doing earlier, remember? So she gives me an order, I go through, I make sure everything is right. And I'm like, oh, and by the way, would you be willing to help Susan? And would you be willing to host a home party? And if they say yes, I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be great. If they say, oh man, I have a really small house or whatever their excuse is, I'm going to say, no problem. I do also offer bag parties. In fact, oftentimes I will bring one if I have one available to kind of demo to show them what that is. And I'd be happy to, set up a date when I drop this off. You can keep it for 5 days, share it with your coworkers, your friends, your family members, and you get all the same rewards as if you'd had a home party. Is that something that you would like to do? So again, I'm asking them, every single person, would you be willing to help Sharon and host a party? That's exactly what I say. And I start with home party and I work my way down. Now, listening also, and they might say, oh gosh, I just don't know. I don't know if I'd have anybody that would come. Again, you want to work on these objections in your head and be ready for them. Well, didn't you say you work outside the home? I remember you said maybe you drive a bus. So do they have like a bus barn? Because, maybe you could leave something in the bus barn and some catalogs, some order forms. I could put something together for you. I can get you an online link that you can share it with your friends and family. I know you said you just relocated from Idaho. So good news. All of the people that you've met here, you could share this with, but also you can share out this link and for all of your friends and family back in Idaho, and they can start getting some Scentsy, and you will benefit as well as Sharon, the host. I know she would greatly appreciate it. So I'm asking every one of them. So just keep that in mind and make sure you guys are ready to overcome those objections, because remember, you want to get 3 bookings from every party. Ideally home party, second bag party, worst case, whatever you can get. Okay, so that's how that's going to kind of work out. Make sure that you're getting those order forms completely filled out. I use the order forms for my drawing slips. So whenever they come in and they're sitting down, they're waiting for the party to start, I tell them to please fill out the entire top part of the order form. I want their emails. I want their phone numbers. I want it all. And I do make sure when I'm collecting their order that everything has been filled out. Okay. All right. If you decide or your host says that she will take checks, that's totally fine. However, your host is going to have to take the checks. They need to be made out to her. I do not accept checks. And so if someone wants to write a check, the host has got to be willing to be okay with the check being made out to her. I will then accept from the host a payment, a credit card payment, any credit cards from the guests that evening, and of course, cash, as long as we have change, to make that happen as well. So that's just how I wrap up the party. Now, keep in mind, I'm almost done. So now I've got my bookings secured. I've got orders for my host. I'm ready to go so that I can get out of their way and they can go have a good time and have fun and visit and drink and eat and be merry. That's great. But I am going to let my host know, okay, I'm going to be heading out here soon. And you did awesome. You were great. You were amazing. Let's plan to visit tomorrow evening and we'll get all of this wrapped up. Okay. And if you have an opportunity and you collect any additional orders, we'll just get them added in. So that's kind of how I do that from there. When I have that conversation with the host, and we're going to go into more detail about this in part 2 for Chord 2, happens to be sponsoring. And we're going to talk more about this. But at that point is when, if I haven't already had the conversation, which usually I have, but if I haven't, it's at that point that I am going to let her know that she has a couple opportunities to either, number 1, enjoy her host rewards. Secondly, enjoy her host rewards plus $20, $40, whatever the amount might be from commission that she would have earned had she been a consultant. And I'm going to explain how that looks like, and offer her, of course, the host kit that she has obviously either earned completely 100% at no cost or at a reduced cost if she wants to utilize her host credit. So, but again, we're going to go much more in depth about that at our next session. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you guys are eager, excited, and ready to party. And as you do, we would love to hear your results and how things go. So thank you guys for tuning in.